It's time.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another Fire Emblem character guide with XepherGames, Jake Person, me. Now, I wanted to clarify something before we began that I wasn't sure if I was clear about earlier in my classes guide. Now, what I wanted to say was, in Fire Emblem Awakening, the different classes units have access to are not dependent on the original class. So, for instance, 2 Dark Mages or 2 Knights wouldn't have the same options for reclassing as the other one. They have completely different ones based more on their personality than on any other traits, I think. I don't really know how they decided which one gets which, but it seems to make sense overall, and I think you'll see what I mean later in this review guide. It's not a review. You know what I mean? Alright, so I'm not going to say without further ado, because I've said that like 7,000 times in these videos, so let's just get on with it now. Let's go. Cordelia, or Tiamo, as I like to call her sometimes, once in a while, pretty much all the time, actually, yeah. I am truly sorry. So, that was, we don't need to worry about that. Basically, though, in Japanese, her name was Tiamo, which meant I love you. Now, that means, well, actually, it means te amo, or te amo, whatever, in Spanish. It means I love you in Spanish. But the Japanese version is spelled Tiamo. And anyway, in the English version, they changed it to her name to Cordelia, which is actually better in my opinion for some reasons, because, like, it means a tragic heroine, or heroine, or whatever doesn't sound like a drug name in some Shakespearean literature thing, like, you know, Cordelia means a tragic heroine. But as a friend of mine, the one that's always on my channel, pointed out, it really is clunky, because, like, no other name in Fire Emblem has four freaking syllables. Like, the only other one I can think of is Ashunera, and that's not a playable character. So if you guys can think of any, post in the comments. I'd really like to know if there are any I'm missing. You can be from any game. Anyway, so she's like a prodigy, a genius. She's amazing at everything except apparently running, which is revealed in her support conversation with her daughter Severa. Anyway, but she's actually she's a pretty good unit, as you'll see by these not support anything growth rates and stuff. Alright guys, so here we're looking at another chart, thankfully provided by Serenes Forest. Well, the numbers anyway. I actually put the chart together myself, so you're welcome for that. But anyway, let's get right down to it. Cordelia herself has a decent enough HP growth, an excellent strength, decently badish magic. It's not terrible. It's better than some characters, but it's not that great either. Skill and speed, both just fine as they are. Not amazing, but they're good enough. Luck is the one problem I really have with her, other than her kind of middling magic. Her luck is only 45%, which is on the lower side. Now, that at 45%, she's still going to max it out eventually. It's not going to be a huge problem, but it will take quite a lot longer than certain people like Crom, for example. Defense at 40% is excellent, and I'm super happy for it because it makes her a tank, which doesn't really fit her Pegasus Knight status very well. As you'll see in a little while, I don't really like the Pegasus Knight tree anyway, so yeah, you're probably not going to be using that very often. And resistance at 25% is not bad, but it's not amazing. It's good enough that as a Pegasus Knight, she'll be getting some really good resistance growths, but other than that, I wouldn't expect too much. Not to break down the other ones too much, but as you can see, each of the Pegasus Knight ones have pretty good overall stat growths, good HP, not good HP, bad HP, decent strength, pretty good magic, skill and speed, not amazing defense. But the mercenary hero and Bow Knight all give better HP and defense. Now, and strength, notably, the highest strength growth. But the last thing I really want to make a point about, and the only reason I even went through these, honestly, is because I want to touch on the Dark Mage class. It's actually probably, in my opinion, if you're going for the magic build, which I will discuss in a minute, it's probably going to be best to stick in the Dark Mage class as long as possible, because it gives her that nice +5 bonus to strength and over Sorcerer, +5 bonus to strength and HP over Sorcerer. So overall, it's somewhat better than Sorcerer, and I would probably stick it out in Dark Mage until level 20, even though you don't necessarily have to. Dark Knight probably has the best growths overall for her, but you could argue that Dark Flyer is about the same, and it is. So it's mostly preference at that point. Anyway, let's move on to Cordelia's class skills and whatnot. Oh, so yeah, her classes, though, those are a bit more complicated, as you might have seen. Like, which classes and skills you want to go into, that's where it gets really tricky. And I think she really has 3 options, but I'm only going to go into 2 of them because I think one of them is kind of subpar. I guess I'll mention the third one right away, just to get out of the way. You can just have her remain as a Pegasus Knight, and then go into Dark Flyer and Falcon Knight, like in that order, and she'll be pretty good. I mean, pretty good, and that's it. But anyway, I'm not going to go into why that's subpar right now. I'm just going to tell you what the other better builds are. Now, if you want her to be a physical unit and extrapolate, that's not the word I'm using, whatever, use her really high strength and defense growth rates, have her turn in, as soon as you can get her to level 10, change her right into a mercenary to grab the awesome arms thrift power, even though she doesn't have that high of luck. And then I would change her into a hero, because they have both mercenary and hero have great growth rates and skills. And then change her lastly into a Bow Knight, which will give her access to a good ranged weapon, bows, and bow breaker on top of that. So it really is a really good balanced mix of it. Plus she'll have access to the 2 crap skills that Pegasus Knights give. I mean, if you're really ambitious, you could go Dark Flyer first and then down to Mercenary and up through there, but that would take a really long time. So I highly recommend if you're going for this build, just go straight to Mercenary and then forget about all the other stuff. Alright, so for her second build, I think another good way to, if you want to capitalize on her magic, which isn't that good, but it is there, so I guess it's not wise to completely ignore it. Whatever. This other build can be pretty fun. If you change her into a Dark Mage at 10th level Pegasus Knight, or 15th level, or whatever, doesn't really matter, she'll start getting pretty decent magic growths in the vicinity of like 30%. Now, that's not good, but it's not terrible, and it'll be enough to give her a decent magic foothold for a half magic, half strength class later. Now, then after you get through Dark Mage, grabbing Anathema, which is actually quite a good skill that you should probably use for the entire game, you can either go into Sorcerer or Dark Knight. Now, Dark Knight has better growth rates, as we mentioned before, but its skills are kind of lackluster, so Sorcerer it is, especially because it'll help her magic out once again. Now, you might be tempted to go Dark Knight because it has the swords and she's good with strength, but we're going to be going to another class that uses both later. So, go for Sorcerer to get Vengeance and Tomebreaker, 2 excellent skills. So, you'll go through there, get some more magic and those skills. Then, once you're done with that, make sure to get the level 15 Tomebreaker, because it's worth it, trust me. Then, change to Dark Flyer, directly to Dark Flyer, because, as I've mentioned a billion times, Dark Flyer has Gale Force. Now, it also has, like 8 movement and, and lances as well as tomes. Now, it doesn't use dark tomes, which is kind of a sucky little suck, but still, I mean, it's pretty good. And if you're using my skill guide, I would probably give her Iot's or Lot's shield when it comes out via DLC to protect her against arrows and wind magic, but it's not necessary because there are a lot of other good skills to choose from. Okay, so last we have to talk about support conversations, and I have a big complaint about Cordelia / Tiamo's support conversations. There's one missing. Yeah, that's right. I'm talking about Cordelia x Chrom. Now, I understand that the game developers didn't want to give her the S rank support with him because I guess I forgot to mention earlier, but she is deeply in love with the guy, like super big crush, and like every support conversation she has, at least all the romantic ones, talk about it in some regard. Now, this would be okay with me, and it still is okay with me, but I really am frustrated that they didn't give her an A support with Chrom. I think they should have just gone up to A and then just stopped. I mean, they didn't do that for any other set of male-female, so I kind of get why they didn't, but I wish they had in this case to kind of show them interacting, but Chrom never really reciprocating the love that she feels for him. They never have almost any direct interaction, which just kind of makes it feel more like she's stalking him rather than actually, you know, loving but not reciprocating. You get the idea. Anyway, so barring that little unfortunate note in my mind, she does have a lot of male supports, surprisingly enough, and I can't really tell you which one's best, unfortunately. I guess, like, it depends. It all depends on what build you're going for. Like, if you're going for the hero bow knight build with all strength and defense and stuff, then basically any physical fighter would be great, especially if they gave her bonuses to like defense, I guess. And as for the magic build, I would actually, my unit would be a great choice, or else any other unit that uses both magic and strength, especially magic, because she'll always take the help in the magic department. That about covers it for Cordelia. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any comments or questions about Cordelia or the rest of this guide, please leave them in the comments below. And if you have any other requests for characters to review, I'm such an idiot, to do a guide on, leave them in the comments below. Again, I am going to do Donald, just so you know. Donald is probably next on my list, and after that will be mystery character with a special guest. Yeah, you all know who the guest is, don't even pretend. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. This is XepherGames, signing out.